Welcome back. All right, so some more news of the day. Yep. This is why I haven't been doing the historical videos. What's the point? Nobody's gonna be paying attention to a historical video today. What was going on in 1939? Not today. You don't. Vinny Desharnais is now a member of the Vancouver Canucks. He, of course, formerly of the Edmonton Oilers, part of the team that knocked out Vancouver. Now Vancouver gets him. 2-year deal, $2 million per season. Patrick Allvin talking at the press conference about picking up Kiefer Sherwood, saying that Quinn Hughes was excited to get him because apparently he peeved off the Vancouver Canucks. It's not the terminology used, but yeah, it's close. But yeah, peeved off the Canucks. They're glad he's going to be with them rather than against them. That's kind of a hockey standard. Guy you really hate playing against, you generally want on your team. Also, Patrick Allvin saying that Demko will be ready for training camp, but also throwing in that he hasn't needed any medical procedure as of yet. So that has to be considered to be at least a little bit concerning, right? Just a little bit. But at any rate, saying that Demko's going to be ready for training camp, good. I hope that is the case. Also saying Brock Boeser's fully recovered from the blood clotting issue he had, which took him out of the playoffs. There was some concern about how long he might be out, but it sounds like Boeser's perfectly fine. He's working out. Everything's good. And there's a familiarity Forbert has with certain members of the Canucks, including Boeser, and it should allow him to integrate a little bit faster into the lineup than others might. The NHL picking the busiest day in National Hockey League news of the year to drop this. Joel Quenneville and Stan Bowman have both been reinstated to the National Hockey League, which has generated a lot of reaction. I'm gonna say that I'm not surprised that the NHL's reinstated them. I'm not sure if that was the job that I was asked. You know, if I was in a position to reinstate them, would I? I don't think I necessarily would have, but either way, the NHL's done so. They are eligible to be hired by an NHL team July the 10th. I don't know that Bowman necessarily gets another job in the NHL, at least not as a general manager, I wouldn't think, after the way things went in Chicago. And again, I understand that him being, banned from the league, but his run towards the end in Chicago as a general manager didn't go particularly great either. I would be very surprised if a team doesn't give Joel Quenneville a job, to be honest. I feel like that's very likely going to happen, and we can all have that discussion at that point in time. But yeah, I do think that's very likely to happen. So Sean Walker, it's official with Carolina. So I reported during the live stream he was going to Carolina, but now we know the term. 5-year deal for Walker, $3.6 million cap hit. I like Walker. It will help to make up for some of the losses on the blue line for Carolina today. And no, I don't necessarily feel like Carolina's out of the conversation as a contending team. I don't think that's the case, and I don't think they're done either. Obviously, Natchez is still there, and so Walker joins the team. We'll see what else Carolina has in store for us the rest of the summer. Alexander Carrier does officially re-sign with the Nashville Predators, which was the expectation. It's a 3-year deal. The cap hit $3.75 million. For Carrier, that's a fair deal. I think that's a fair deal for Nashville, too. You look at some of the money going to defensemen today. $3.75 million for Carrier, perfectly understandable. And UC Saros, he signs an extension with Nashville. It's officially official. We heard this coming a while ago, but it's an 8-year extension for Saros. The cap hit $7.74 million. So there's a 74. He wears a 74. Not too shabby. Well done. And yeah, Saros is going to be staying with the Nashville Predators. Remember halfway through last season, we were all pretty sure he was going to get traded. Now, not so much. Keep in mind that even when he was technically, supposedly on the trade block, the trade demand was huge for Saros. So yeah, we'll see how things go for Nashville this year. But the excitement is understandable, and yeah, it should be a fascinating season in Nashville. Kaapo Kahkonen has been added by the Winnipeg Jets. It's a 1-year deal for him at $1 million. I would expect him to end up backing up Hellebuck, and Comrie likely ends up starting the season in Manitoba, if he passes through waivers, of course. But yeah, Kahkonen signs a 1-year deal, and I thought he had a decent run at the end of the season with New Jersey. His overall numbers not necessarily fantastic, but again, as a backup, and if you're the backup to Hellebuck, you're not going to play a ton. Nikita Zadorov, in an interview after joining the Boston Bruins, showing a little bit of color there in that he basically said, yeah, my nickname's been Big Z where I've played. I don't want to use the nickname Big Z in Boston. I've already seen Little Z getting used as a terminology as well. Why not just Big Z? I mean, just say it differently. Just instead of the American Z, just go Z, Canadian, right? Um, I mean, he's not Canadian, and neither was Chara, but still. At any rate, yeah, Zadorov, it looks like, is excited to play in Boston. And why not? They gave him a 6-year deal. He can get comfortable and not have to worry about being traded. He bounced around a little bit there the last few years, so good on him for finding a home in Boston. We'll see how things go there. Matt Duchene officially re-signs with the Dallas Stars. We heard last night this was going to happen. It's a 1-year deal. It's a $3 million deal. So Duchene stays. So Dallas's depth up front still pretty good. A lot of discussion about the changes they've made on the blue line today. But yeah, their forward group's still pretty good. Dallas is still going to be a playoff team. The Central, though, is going to be completely bonkers. The Edmonton Oilers, they lose a Carrick, they gain a Carrick. So Sam Carrick went to the New York Rangers, but Connor Carrick has signed with the Edmonton Oilers. It's a 1-year, 2-way deal for him. It's a $775,000 cap hit at the NHL level. Carrick's a good fill-in. He can play with your NHL team. He also can clear waivers and go down to the AHL. And so it's a good signing for the Oilers. You absolutely have to have depth. The Minnesota Wild deciding to go with quantity in this one. They signed 8 players to 2-way deals. The most prominent of those 8 being Devon Shore and Reese Johnson, formerly of the Blackhawks. And I had talked earlier about Travis Boyd signing there. It's a 2-way deal for him. So these may very well be AHL level signings for the most part. Brendan Gaunce is one of the 8 they signed too, so may have a really good, strong AHL franchise, but also it does give them some depth organizationally. Also, Jake Middleton gets an extension with the Minnesota Wild. It's a 4-year extension. This is pricey, $4.35 million per season. One thing I've noticed with the signings that Guerin's put out there, it feels like they tend to be kind of high. But yeah, Middleton, $4.35 million per. If you look at the advanced stats, he had a rough season at points last year. If Spurgeon's back and he's playing with Spurgeon, odds are his underlying numbers are going to get better, but we shall see. So yeah, Middleton, 4-year extension. Let me know your thoughts if you're a Minnesota fan on how you feel with that extension. Kyle Dubas talking at a presser today about Pittsburgh, and it feels odd because, they do sell off Riley Smith. Dubas saying that there is no plan to rebuild, and that he wants to build a contender before that core of Crosby, Malkin, Letang retires. So it feels like with Pittsburgh that they sell off Riley Smith. However, they want to remain in contention for a Stanley Cup. They want to build themselves up to that level. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a huge challenge for Pittsburgh. I know there are those among the Penguins faithful who don't think that it's going to happen that way, but we shall see, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So a question would be, how does Pittsburgh build themselves up to be a Stanley Cup contender? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I do expect to be back at least one more time today because I do want to look over who's still available on the free agent market. And so if your team hasn't made a move yet, maybe one of the players I'm going to talk about later today becomes that player. And of course, if there's further news and further signings, I will be here to discuss that at that time. So again, happy Canada Day. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And yeah, I will be back to talk to you guys again soon enough. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do. And thanks once again for all your support.